I'd say on the soy spectrum, when they see like Tim and I on there, they're like, "Oh, these guys aren't as soy." They're like,
These
they're a
guys
little
fuck.
bit less.
Well, speak for yourself. Hey everyone, I'm Cam Caskey.
And I'm Tim Miller, and this is FYPod. We talk about Gen Z stuff and such. And I have a few announcements before we get to our guest. For starters, we're taping this unusually early. It's on Tuesday afternoon. It's my fault. I can't keep track of my schedule. I'm taking applications for volunteer schedulers. Okay, I will only pay you in like the material we get from our advertising sponsors. I'll share that with you. So it's not really good pay, but whatever. We're taping this on Tuesday. As such, like, who the fuck knows? I mean, by the time this actually airs, Donald Trump might be in a military costume or something. We might be in a junta. So, if something crazy happens on Thursday, that's why this happened. I also need to say, I received a message from one of my lady friends. I have a couple lady friends. And they said that me and Cam's discussion on Monday's show about virginity was very man-focused. We were very focused on the needs of men's sexual desires and needs. And I got to say, that's totally my fault because Cam is very in touch with everybody's needs, but I drove the conversation in a male direction. And so I'm going to ask Cameron to introduce me to a woman, and we can discuss women's sexual needs in the context of virginity at a later episode. So I just want to throw myself on the mercy of the court and admit that this is a woke show. And sometimes even in a woke show, I can, be patriarchal, and we're doing our best. We're trying to live and learn.
Speaking of woke patriarchal virgins, I want to introduce you all to our guest today, my friend Adam Mockler. Adam Mockler is maybe the Zoomer at this point. I don't know if they make him any tougher than this guy. Adam does YouTube, he does the television, and he loves with his true human heart the whole way.
He's a debate lord. Like you, he does not have a college degree, which is really important because it's important for the people in the pro-democracy movement to appeal to folks that are not good at standardized testing. We're doing really well. Like we're kind of playing above our pay grade with people that do well on standardized tests, not doing that great with like your C student or your student that is entrepreneurial like Adam Mockler and decided that he didn't want to be chained by the confines of Ball State University or wherever it was that he went, and he needed to spread his wings and fly. And I appreciate that.
Thank you guys for introing me right after the really serious virginity talk and then talking about how I appeal to college dropouts because I am one. Thanks for the beautiful.
You're welcome. That's good. That's called credibility. That's called like setting the credibility for the guests, for the audience.
Yeah.
So Adam, before we get into all of the bells and whistles and the real meat of the discussion today, and before a big announcement that I have about a new Bulwark event coming up, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Some people watching this might have seen you on CNN debating with 60-year-olds who are tripping over themselves. They might see you on the Miatis Touch Network, hanging out with the fellas over there, whose names I'm aware of. But what got you into the ideological sparring match, the lion's den of ideas?
Yeah, my quick elevator pitch. I run a YouTube channel with like 1.5 million followers. I made this.
Okay. All right. Okay. We don't need to be taking out our follower cock at the beginning of the episode.
No. But listen. It comes back. I made this exact channel when I was like 9 years old. And I used to make all these dumb ass Minecraft videos. I used to edit all these videos, but I got really good at editing in the process. I remember in elementary school, I got kicked out for like debating my teacher about gay marriage. I was probably being a little jackass. And then after high school, after I stopped doing the Minecraft videos because I wanted to get girls or do whatever, I realized, wait a minute, I can combine my video editing skills. I can combine my like speaking skills, politics skills. And I started hitting these Trump rallies. The first video on my channel that's public is me hitting a Trump rally and debating all the supporters. And I think there's this vibe where my baby face kind of disarms them immediately and they don't expect me to kind of like debunk what they're saying in the moment. Since then, I've signed the Midas. They've helped me really build the infrastructure under me. And then I've used that as a launching pad to do these more high-profile debates, which the same babyface disarm thing, I think, works.
Right, a couple of follow-ups there. So Your first private video was you debating Trumpers, which was a great way to start. Like you just jumped in, or your first public video. Your first public video is you debating Trumpers, which is a great way to start into your debate lord career. The private videos, though? What are give us a couple of the more embarrassing ones that are behind the lock and key.
Dude,
your
so the first one
9-year-old
is
days?
me playing Minecraft. There was one,
Yeah.
I hit 200 subscribers, so I did a special video where I was in like a bath answering questions. I was
In
like
the bathtub?
13. Yeah, I had like a swimsuit on. It was like a joke, but
Okay.
yeah, this is still private on my
Did you have
channel.
like rubber duckies around you, or were there bubbles? Was it a bubble bath?
Yeah, it was pretty. No, there were no rubber duckies. It wasn't
Hmm.
that infantile. I was still like 12 years old, but I was answering questions. And man, Scott Jennings is gonna. These MAGA people are gonna. You love this, love hearing that I'm just.
That used to be a bathtub baby. Sometimes on the weekends, I like to enjoy some refreshments. You know, I like to enjoy some things that chill me out a little bit, including something from our newest sponsor, Cornbread Hemp. Maybe you've tried everything under the sun for the peace of mind, but you might want to try Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies. I haven't tried those, but I've tried their beverages, and let me tell you, the beverages are yummy. And I appreciate that the person that wrote the script did not make any jokes about how old I am in writing it. I need my peace of mind more than usual lately, which is why I've been reaching for these great federally legal CBD and THC beverages before I doze off, or as an alternative to drinking bourbon and cokes before I head out to a live event. Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies are made to help you feel better, whether it's stress, discomfort, or just needing a little relaxation. They only use the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. All products are third-party lab tested and USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. Right now, FYPod listeners can save 30% off their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/FYPod and use FYPod at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/FYPod and use code FYPod. Okay, and another thing that you noted is that you were trying to get girls. I noticed you specifically said the word girls, which means that you might be the rare pro-democracy 23-year-old purely heterosexual male. Is that right? Or are you somewhere in the LGBTQIA plus 2S community?
I'm purely heterosexual.
Wow!
Are you an
Holy
ally?
shit!
Do you
That
identify
is like
as
a
an ally?
fucking albino giraffe.
Am I an ally? Cam, you weren't listening to the story. I got kicked out of class because I was debating my teacher about gay marriage.
Well, you didn't
when,
say what side you were debating on. You just said you were debating gay marriage.
My teacher was too pro-gay, and I got kicked out of class for slurs. Apparently, I
Yeah,
can't.
you're like, why can I not say the F slur?
Yeah.
Okay, is this a free country? Can I not say the F slur in the one in my first year freshman year sociology class?
That laid the groundwork for where I am.
I used to debate my fifth grade teacher about foreign policy and shit, and I didn't really know what I was talking about. But since, becoming an adult, I sort of looked back and said, you know what? I was probably right a little bit more than I thought I was.
Congrats.
And his son ended up becoming an NFL player, so you really got to hand it to him. I think he does steroids now. So, Mock, you went from Minecraft to bubble bath videos when you were a 12-year-old boy to debating Scott Jennings. I feel like there still is a bridge that we need to establish here before we get to the meat of it all, because something must have happened in between Minecraft bubble bath, Trump rallies, and Abby Phillips.
I don't know. I made music in high school. I got my heart broken. I grew up. I don't know.
Were you?
No.
I'm saying, were you in like a shadowy bar and like a mysterious figure just emerged behind you, and it was like one of the Miatis brothers, and then another one came up, and they all recruited you.
Oh no, you want the raw story on how I blew up? Okay, so
Yeah.
I had all these skills in editing and everything. So when I started to go to college in Northwest Indiana, I took this film class. In this film class, I used it as sort of a launching pad to test out my first political video. So I made sure we made this like skit where it was a Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas knockoff. And I was like, we had
cool.
2 bags of grass. We had Rick and Morty bladder acid. Play a clip.
I told the librarian everything.
No, you didn't, bro.
He knows about the weed, he knows about the acid, the vodka.
Nigga, what?
Aw, you never called me that before.
Bro, what kind of... Bro, the narcs, they're fucking outside.
And then I realized I can still edit really, really well. So then I emailed a bunch of cameramen in Iowa, 2 states over. I said, hey, there's a Trump rally in 3 days. Can we please go? Like, is there any chance we can do this? One cameraman replied and said, yo, this is my only free weekend. Let's try it out. So I drove there. I met him. And 2 years later, this is like my main cameraman. So yeah, we filmed it. We edited it and it worked out well. David Pakman showed it on his channel and it got my video like 100,000 views. And that kind of shows you how it made its way around the internet. And then boom. Yeah, just a lot of luck, a lot of timing.
Amyl nitrates. That's amazing. Well, Cameron, you said you're in charge of the show today. So what are we going to talk about?
Adam has been going viral recently a lot for his debate lording. And I think that with Tim going on and asking Dean Cain what basic rights are when Dean Cain is signing up to go after grandmas and babysitters, and Adam doing his shit with Scott Jennings and the other dorks, I kind of wanted to have a conversation about the state of debate right now and what it means to be debating people in an environment where on the right, the tactic to handle really anything is almost always just lie. So it's, it raises a question of like, how do you engage in some sort of pursuit of any greater truth with people who, when, if their ideas are pushed to the limit or tested in any way, are just going to make up some shit about transgender illegals. So I thought it would be appropriate for us to look at a few clips of Mockler on television debating and just pick them apart a little bit and take the temperature.
What about we're not going to do highlight reels of me. We're only going to do Mockler.
Well, I just feel like the people who watch this already see all of the
I thought we were going to kind of rank. I thought we were going to sort of rank each other.
I told Cam, I said include a clip of Tim and Dean Cain. I said,
okay, so I'm just fucking with you. That's fine. People have seen my highlight reel. We'll see how Mockler stacks up. Let's check it out.
The party that promised to defeat the deep state very quickly became the deep state. Pam Bondi says, I have the list on my desk right here. They're rather silent for a few months. Then Elon Musk says Trump is in the Epstein list. Then within weeks, apparently the list is gone. I mean, I'm looking at this photo of Jack Posobiec holding up the Epstein files. It says the Epstein files, phase 1. But where's phase 2? There's no phase 2.
He actually helped Epstein be prosecuted. He was the only person who was involved. Kicked him out of the Epstein. You know all this. Like, it's just a very.
Have you heard of Alexander Acosta? You were duped to cover up sexual abuse of
Donald
children.
Trump was
you were
kicked him
duped.
out of his.
Alexander Acosta was a Florida district attorney. You can look this up. He knew both Trump and Epstein. He was appointed as a Secretary of Labor under Trump and had to resign in 2017 because people found out that he mishandled the Epstein case in 2007 and let Epstein get an illegal plea deal. Epstein was then able to go re-offend, and Trump appointed him in 2017. So I don't want to hear the dude that was brought to the White House to cover up sexual abuse saying that there was, what are you trying to say here? Yeah.
You gotta wipe your face. Can you just wipe that little thing off your face there a little bit? You got a little,
right, hold on a
mud on your face.
You have no points.
Hold on a second.
This motherfucker, I hadn't shaved that morning, and he thinks that that's a valid comeback to getting rolled on TV about covering up pedophilia.
Pizzagate Jack learning from Carrie Lake. In one of my debates with Carrie after I'd cornered her, she was like, why do you dress like a 13-year-old boy? It's not a bad attack. I will say, I guess points, if you don't have any substantive points to make fun of my fit is it's kind of better than some of the alternative options there. But that was pretty good. Why can we talk about Piers for a second before we talk about CNN? Because I think that one of the interesting questions is which I wrestle with, and I'm wondering if you do too, Adam, which is why do this? There you are, it's you and Pizzagate Jack and a fat guy and another fat guy, neither of whom are identifiable to my eye.
Zero good outfits on the entire panel, by the way.
Zero good outfits.
Look at all the and that includes you and your fucking athletic T-shirt.
Yeah,
Adam,
your sweaty tee.
Your
sweaty tee was the best of a bad bunch there.
Zero drip.
To be fair, I probably should have shaved. But no, to answer Tim's question, I think it's really important for us to be in these spaces because if not, maybe a weaker debater would have been there, or we wouldn't have been there at all and had no representation. And in the attention economy that we all currently live in, being in these spaces and making sure that you dominate the narrative with the facts or with at least fact patterns that people wouldn't hear otherwise. Because think about who's watching Piers Morgan. They think the average liberal is the soyest person possible. And when they see
soyest, that's SOYEST, soyest,
the soyest person possible.
That's
and
a great
when they
word,
see someone like Tim,
and for people in our audience who don't have the newspeak of soy, it's my understanding that soy is sort of I was going to say beta, but that's also kind of newspeak. Soy is low testosterone.
Yeah, being a wuss.
Fat.
Being a wuss, yeah.
I'd say on the soy spectrum, when they see Tim and I on there, they're like, "Oh, these guys aren't as soy." They're
these
they're
guys
a little
fuck.
bit less.
Well, speak for yourself.
Okay, well, I should take off my pearls. That's why I take off my pearls sometimes when I go on, because that does give me a little bit of the soy vibes. This show is sponsored by OneSkin. I love OneSkin so much. I've been getting the straight bros around Louisiana. You might notice Dante, our producer, is just down in New Orleans. You might notice that more straight men around town are moisturizing right now, and that's because of the one man campaign that I've been on to get straight heterosexual men to moisturize their face. And we're starting to see some differences already. And if you're going to do that, why not start with OneSkin? Known for cult favorites like OS1 Body, OS1 Face, and OS1 Eye, OneSkin stands out for their science-first approach, delivering hydration, barrier support, and powerful longevity benefits in a single step. At the core is their patented OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to target senescent cells, the root cause of wrinkles, crepiness. You don't want crepey skin, Cam. Very important. And loss of elasticity. Makes you start to look old. Nothing wrong with looking old, but why not fight off the elasticity and crepiness as long as possible? OneSkin has also attracted A-list fans from Katy Perry. Even Katy Perry is doing it. To Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston looks amazing. OneSkin is the first skin longevity company targeting cellular aging to keep your skin and scalp looking and acting younger for longer. For a limited time, you can try OneSkin with 15% off using code FYPodcast. We're adding the cast at the end on this one at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co, code FYPodcast. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Try OneSkin today. Your future self will thank you. Okay. So your view is you have to be on there to give pheromones, in case there's some dudes on there that just are under the impression that all libs are not, have no musk, have no, that's why you're on there.
Just to clarify, no, it's not that. It's to basically be able to dominate the narrative in a palatable way. Like, number one, I said, it's the attention economy. If we can go on there and put up decent arguments, the way that you operate on Piers Morgan, Tim, is really solid because you speak like it's intuitive and like it's common sense. You're like, these people just want to come here to do this. And it's like all common sense. And it actually comes across really, really strong. Imagine if you would have denied that and instead some unhinged liberal comes on and isn't able to make the arguments as well, then we're ceding territory online. Somebody that already has a preconception of liberals as weak and weird will then see liberals as weak and weird. And yeah, I think it's just important for us to be out there. Really quickly, a lot of people in my audience always say, why do you give air to MAGA? Don't give air to Charlie Kirk and MAGA platforms. It's like, dude, Charlie Kirk is the air. They are the air right now, so we're fighting an uphill battle. We're like Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a hill every single day trying to fight back, and we have to be in these spaces.
What if the argument is that this is all just fucking entertainment, and it's like watching a car wreck, it's like rubbernecking, it's just like people just want to see, the people that watch Piers are just like already have their ideological, priors, and they just want to see fights, and they just want to cheer for their guys and make fun of the other guys. And so you're not actually convincing anybody. I have a counter to that, but I'm curious what yours would be.
I think that you can't change the playing field. I think that what you just said right there is essentially the playing field of politics. And that's proven every single time Trump steps on the stage. But right now, Republicans are fucking whooping our ass on this attention playing field. They have all these WWE type figures. Half of Trump's cabinet he plucked off of Fox News, and they're melting down off of booze in front of our military generals, right? So the point is, if that's the playing field right now, we need people out there who can be punching back and playing on that field. And I agree, it shouldn't be that way. I wish it could be more substantive. But what's your counter? Yeah,
my answer to that is actually it's not for the people watching the full hour, and that's not who I'm trying to reach. Frankly, I mean, maybe I'll reach somebody that's watching the full hour that is interested in what I say, but it's all about clips. Here's the thing about, you mentioned Charlie Kirk and how he is the air. The average person, you guys actually tell me if I'm wrong about this, but my perception is the average 23-year-old is consuming politics almost entirely through short form video, and they're getting it on TikTok or Reels or maybe YouTube Shorts, but mostly TikTok and then a little bit of the others, and maybe a little Snap, and the preponderance of what they're getting is Charlie Kirk debate me, Ben Shapiro debate me, bro. I'm owning libs videos. That's one thing that they're getting. They're getting goofy Trump stuff that kind of makes him look goofy, but also is kind of funny, makes them laugh a little bit. And they're getting crazy libs. Here is a far left person using weird language about Latinx or whatever, and they're being made fun of, right? And there's other clips in people's feeds of politicians saying politician stuff, but the dominant stuff out there that they're getting is either conservatives positioning themselves as winning this thing, Trump goofy stuff, lib crazy stuff, and me going on and in my own bubble and just getting on my soapbox is fine. Like that gets out to my listeners and all people that follow me, and they like that stuff, and maybe they share that with their friends. But like the only way to break into that world of like the casual is to do a funny thing, like beat the fuck out of Dean Cain about ICE, in the hopes that that like clip is now. So now when the like non-political 23-year-old is going through their For You page, it's like, oh, here's Charlie Kirk, RIP, owning somebody. Here's this guy I'm just meeting, Tim Miller, owning this dude, this Superman guy. Here's whatever, right? You know what I mean? Like kind of so to bring balance to that. Maybe that's wishful thinking. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I also have mixed thoughts about the matter because generally speaking, like, I think the debate stuff is like intellectually so dumb because the example that I use is if you go up and you're debating somebody and you say, Trump sending ICE to do this to migrants is against the law. And the person you're debating says, oh yeah, what law? And you can't immediately name the exact law that it's violating. And you go, it's against the law. You lose and you look like the fucking idiot. And then the debate ends and you Google it and it's like, oh, there's something act of 19
that
something,
is a problem
whatever.
for debate losers, but that's not a problem for me in
memorization game.
Okay, well, that's not a problem for me in mock, because that we never get cornered like that. But so continue. What are your other concerns? Because that one is resolved by never being cornered.
It doesn't matter about this specific example. The point is, it is very often a memorization game where your ability to perform in a certain way is more under consideration than the pursuit. But the other thing that I say, and this is just kind of building off of what you were saying, is I feel like there's a lot of people who are not, policy wonks that want to get into the politics of it all, that see the act of debate as, so intrinsically tied to the validity of a certain mindset. And you see that with how people talked about Charlie Kirk. They were like, oh, say this about Charlie Kirk, say that about Charlie Kirk. He was willing to debate people. He was willing to go where they were at. And that is so often like an integral part of how people treat the seriousness of what you're saying, your willingness to go into other places, including not your home field, and debate it. And that's sort of how I feel so like, while I think that if you really pick apart the actual mechanics of what debating is, it is not some substantive search for a greater truth that involves an exchange of ideas, but it is important in the sense that if this is going to be team sports, not showing up on the field doesn't mean you're winning the game. It means you're not showing up on the field.
I would add just one more thing that's not interested in your take, Mark, like to take us out of it. Like let's bring in Mehdi, who's a good example. Like I don't love that, all the Jubilee stuff. Like some of it like is a little cringe, of course. And but I see what they're trying to do, and I get that. I appreciate that. Mehdi, like going in and debating those 20 Nazis, like I think was like pretty important in that it was the first time in a while that trend that I talked about how people were being fed in their feeds, a lot of, oh, look at this crazy lib shouting about whatever land acknowledgement, whatever the stupid thing is of the day, like the most extreme person on the left does on a college campus at some protest, and having that represent the whole left. Like there wasn't any balance to that. And that Mehdi video happened, and all of a sudden people were trying to share this and being like, whoa, they're like people who say that they're Nazis on campuses now. Like I thought that the Dems were just accusing Republicans of being Nazis, but like here are like three dudes who are like, no, yes, I'm a racist. I'm quoting Carl Schmitt. I feel like that's useful to get that out there.
So useful. And we were ceding so much ground in the clip economy. We still are, because the right-wing ecosystem, to build on what you were saying, Tim, they've created this sort of pipeline. I always call it the pipeline to volume theory, because they have all of these online pipelines that suck young men and women down, or people of all ages. So say you're a young dude and you're into working out, you work out a bunch, and you eventually get sucked down this pipeline that's like Make America Healthy Again. Or say that you're a young dude who has dating problems, like every 17-year-old has. You eventually get sucked down the pipeline to Andrew Tate stuff. There's young mothers who get sucked down the vaccine pipeline. Young people who don't like APAC are now watching Nick Fuentes. I can continue to go, but they have these pipelines. Or Candace Owens, whatever it is. If you're slightly into something, they suck you down the pipeline, then it hits you with volume. I have so many friends who are vaguely Christian, and now they're obsessed with Charlie Kirk videos. Like the volume of Charlie Kirk videos that are out there, thousands, maybe even like 10,000 Charlie Kirk debate clips just maybe not that many, but a lot of Charlie Kirk debate clips out there on the internet.
I think that many for sure.
Yeah, the point is they have so much volume that we need to be countering that with our own volume, creating our own pipelines. And Cameron's right, it does kind of turn into a game of whack-a-mole sometimes. Like when you're debating a conspiracy theorist, they'll have all these random theories that pop up and you have to like endlessly whack them down, even if you don't know what they're talking about. But overall, debate is good. And this next clip of me on CNN with Scott Jennings, if we could play that, I think could be a decent.
Hey, who's the host of the show? Mock,
Yeah.
whose channel are we on right
I'm
now?
taking it over.
See,
I'm
Cameron,
sorry.
see, this is how he does. This is why he doesn't get cornered like you, you know? Like when in
When have
doubt.
I ever gotten cornered?
I saw the soy radiating out of Tim, and I said, sorry, I gotta.
I don't know when I've never seen you get cornered, but you seem very concerned about it, that you're not going to know the immigration law of 1986 and that's going to prevent
Well,
you from debate voting.
prolonged adolescent cannabis use made it so my synapses don't fire very quickly, and the neurons in my
Okay, well,
brain
you just
get
got to
scrambled
offset
pretty
that
easily.
with some uppers.
I would like to thank one of our sponsors, to whom I am very morally compelled to support, ExpressVPN. This show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. True or false? Incognito mode makes you invisible on the internet. The answer is, in case you couldn't guess this, false. Most people have no idea, but your browsing history can still be monitored and even recorded unless you use ExpressVPN. Oh shit. ExpressVPN lets you change your online location so you can control where you want Netflix to think you're located. They have servers in over 100 countries so you can gain access to thousands of new shows and never run out of stuff to watch. I wanted to watch The Notebook, which I watch several times a week, a few weeks ago, because that left US Netflix at the end of August, but it's still kicking around in Australia, where they also got rid of guns. ExpressVPN also keeps you private and secure by rerouting all your traffic through an encrypted tunnel. And I assure you, I know exactly what that means. It's easy to use. Just fire up the app and click one button to change locations, and it works on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, smart TVs, and more. Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/FYPod. That is expressvpn.com/FYPod to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months free. expressvpn.com/FYPod. Thank you so much, ExpressVPN.
The host has a question now.
One of the other things, and this kind of goes to what you were saying about the conspiracy theorists, Adam, is one of the things I struggle with is when you're debating somebody and they say so many things that are nuts in one breath that you have to pick your battle and figure. When we had Natalie Winters, who's Steve Bannon's cam on the show, she like Tim and I would just be sitting there and she would go on for 2.5 minutes at a time, and in those 2.5 minutes make 7 to 9 insane assertions, and then we had to figure out like, okay, which of these do we like go with? But anyway, Dante, let's take a look at this clip of Adam and Scott Jennings.
And I think at the same time.
So now we have two people here who are saying it's Donald Trump's fault that someone shot up an ICE facility.
Nobody is saying that.
You literally said that.
Listen, let me finish.
And then you agreed with it.
You want to know what I said? I said Donald Trump created this environment over the past decade. You sat here and said, I need to take responsibility. I'm a 22-year-old YouTuber. You hold me to a higher standard than the man that
I'm
we
holding
just
you to your
listened
standard of your punditry.
Donald
Your
Trump was
punditry
just
is that Trump's
vomiting
fault.
vitriol out of his mouth about how the other party is weak and evil. And he just said the party of hate, evil, and Satan. You blind yourself to that, and you're focusing on a 22-year-old YouTuber.
Dude, I like how you covered your eyes when you said blind yourself. That type of gesticulation tells such a good story.
I'm curious what the Jennings vibe is like with you at the commercial break. Can you talk about that a little bit? Then we'll do the debate stuff. That's what the people really want to know.
He's fine. He's affable. He's a nice dude.
Yeah. He's from, well, I don't know about nice. He's affable, though. I had one of the worst hours of my life was after Joe Biden had a medical event on the stage in the most important debate in modern history. Then I was there in Atlanta to do spin afterwards. Luckily, it was so bad that nobody wanted me to spin because they needed to like call in more important people than me to come on TV. So it was like a moment of seriousness. They didn't need a clownish YouTuber to come in. So that was nice. But and the next day at the airport, I walk up, I'm in the security line, and fucking Scott Jennings walks behind me in the security line. Like, what are the odds? I had to wait in the I am TSA pre, but I had to wait in the security line for like 6 minutes with Scott Jennings. And it was a true nightmare. Somebody I've known for a long time. And he was so smug and so happy. And I was just like, this is a cosmic punishment for me. This is a cosmic punishment. I was paid off last week, though, because I got into the security line next to Ezra Koenig, and we got to hang out and vibe out. People can Google who that is if they want. But anyway, the value of debating on CNN versus the YouTube stuff. Talk to me about that. Is that like brand building, or do you think that there's a point of going on CNN?
You're clip farming. You're getting the clips that you want to put on people's For You pages, and they fucking clips are everywhere. And it's like, I love you, Adam. You're my friend, but it's like, you're my friend. I want to be able to look at social media and watch baseball clips and look at Legos and lizards and stuff, and it's just fucking clips of you on CNN the whole time.
That's right.
Some of it is brand building, but honestly, as I was going on the show for the past few months and like prepping for it, especially, this is going to sound arrogant, but I was turning on mainstream media like CNN or MSNBC, and I was thinking, a lot of our pundits are just boring. A lot of the people on our side are a little bit boring. Is this
present company excluded? That's all. I'm over there. No. Are you not watching my Nicole Wallace hits? I mean, I'm fucking lighting the room on fire for those ladies. You know, the wine grandmoms.
On MSNBC, I do impressions of people. Like, there's multiple clips of me doing funny voices on it. All right, so maybe be a little bit more specific, because present company is doing a pretty good job.
I'm clearly not talking about you guys. I'm saying generally when I turn on the TV, like, no. I'm not talking about my friends that go on TV and do hits. I'm saying when I turn on the mainstream prime time, I'm just not as captivated as when I go on YouTube and I watch you guys who pull 100 million views a month or 200 across platforms. Like, you guys clearly are the outlier in what I'm saying here because you have online profiles. But I'm just like, I think mainstream media needs more personality, needs people who can push back. And I think that, we need people who can do a good job. I think, Tim, you do a good job on Pierce Morgan.
Thank you. I have another question for you. Can you, like, you were talking about your prep. Like, how much prep are you doing? Like, you're pretty sharp up there while we're gassing each other up. Like, you seem to have like are you just rolling, or do you have some material that you've been working?
Didn't we already establish that he's a straight guest? Oh, preparation.
Yeah, not. I'm doing prep every afternoon, but we're talking about debate prep. Yeah, you know, like a book you don't do before this podcast. Like, get ready, you know, think about the topics, think about what you're going to say.